I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Blackman,
Present.
Biesinger,
Present.
Boss,
Present.
Ekis,
Present.
Fry,
Present.
Gross, present, Schroller,
Present.
Rom.
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you all for being here. The first item is approval of minutes. Does anyone have any amendments? Then I would entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Move to approve the August 28th regular meeting of the City Council with no amendments.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. All right, the next area is public comments. Anyone that would like to share can come to the podium, give your first and last name, your address and your ward, and you may speak up to 5 minutes. All right, we will move on to, well, first off, I'd like to read this proclamation at the beginning of the meeting. Today is September 11th, and the proclamation is titled Patriot Day, National Day of Service and Remembrance. And with all the tragedies going on across the United States, Hurricane Harvey and Irma, the fires in Montana, our first responders are very crucial, especially to our city. So, whereas September 11th, 2017 marks the 16th anniversary of the ruthless terrorist attacks on our country, and whereas Marysville remembers those who lost their lives at the Pentagon, the World Trade Center, and in a field in southwest Pennsylvania, whereas the entire nation witnessed and shared in the tragedy, but were united under a remarkable spirit of service and compassion that inspired and helped heal the nation. Whereas we as a community wish to honor the heroic service, actions, and sacrifices of our first responders, law enforcement personnel, firefighters, local officials, volunteers, and countless others who aided the innocent victims of those attacks, risking and often sacrificing their own lives. And whereas the City of Marysville wishes to recognize the brave service and sacrifice given each day by members of our armed forces, intelligence agencies, diplomatic services, Homeland Security, and Marysville Public Safety Departments to support the cause of freedom and defend the security of our nation. Now therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Marysville, on behalf of the Marysville City Council and all citizens thereof, I do hereby proclaim Monday, September 11th, 2017 as Patriot Day, National Day of Service and Remembrance, and encourage everyone to observe one moment of remembrance on Monday, September 11th, 2017 to unite, reflect, remember, and never forget on the 16th anniversary and Day of Remembrance in the City of Marysville. Proclaimed and witnessed this on the 11th day of September 2017, City of Marysville, Kansas, Mayor Carla Grund. I would entertain a motion to approve that proclamation.
Move to approve the proclamation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0, thank you very much. And there were a lot of firefighters and policemen, and our ambulance service was there this morning. And I know there were some council members, as well as our whole city staff was there, which was really nice
And the
too.
Black Hawk Riders.
And the Black Hawk Riders, so we appreciate that.
Oh, the Legion Riders, I'm sorry.
The Legion Riders.
Stand corrected. Thank you, Denny.
Okay, now we'll move on to the business and discussion items, and the first one up is Sharon Kessinger. Would you like to come up?
Well, I think you have everything that we, I'm Sharon Kessinger, and I'm a member of the Kester House Museum Advisory Board. And I think we sent our request, and you have it in your packets. Do you want me to?
Well, the main thing is in Section B, is she wants to expand it. Right now, the two members outside the city are limited to Marshall County. And she wants to extend that, I should say the board wants to extend that beyond to all adjacent counties. And the reason being that there's a Marysville High School graduate that is very interested in the Kester House that lives in Riley County.
Yeah, just over the line,
Yeah.
almost in Marshall County.
So we wanted the opportunity, since he wants to serve on this board, to be able to serve on this board. So that was the main change on one section.
And, you know, it's not always easy to get people to be on these boards, and
And his background
in
is
his
that...
background, he's a retired architect, and he has a lot of skills that would be very useful on the board. And you hate not to be able to have him on your board.
So that was the first change, and the second change was,
Mayor, I have a question about that.
okay,
Would we want to just consider adjacent counties, Kansas adjacent counties?
that was discussed at the board meeting, and they kind of decided they wanted to leave it open.
Okay.
I mean, you can make that limitation.
You can change it, I mean,
They did
you know, we're
discuss
not
that, though.
stuck on that or anything.
So, Mike obviously lives in Riley County, so that wouldn't knock him out of the availability. But that was discussed, but it's you guys' call if you want to
Yeah.
limit it to Kansas. How do you feel about that?
I kind of agree that if somebody's got the skill set to be useful to the board and wants to do it and spend that time and effort in a volunteer capacity, I think we should.
Just leave it
We should.
adjoining counties?
Yeah.
Is everybody okay with that?
No,
Okay.
I disagree with this.
And, you know, it isn't, we're not a board that makes any laws or anything. We're just an advisory board to the council, so.
You're an advisory board, and here's my concern. Here's my concern. This says the board shall consist of 7 members, 7. 5 of the members shall be residents of the city of Marysville. The remaining 2 shall be residents of the city of Marysville, residents of Marshall County, or residents of counties adjacent to Marshall County. That's how you'd like it to read. And my concern is that when it comes to spending money on the Kester House, if we don't get money from a foundation, it's Marysville that foots the bill for the whole thing. And I really don't want to see anybody outside of Marysville or Marshall County making decisions on how to spend money for this council. I do believe if you have somebody with skills or knowledge, that perhaps you could appoint him as special counsel to your advisory board, but to open it up for anybody who wants to be part of this to come and say, I mean, you can't say we made this change for this one person, but we're not going to allow anybody else who just wants to serve. I mean, this guy has special skills.
You know, it could only be 2 people, and everybody else on the board could vote him down if he wanted to spend a lot of money.
The first and foremost thing is to remember that whoever they put for an appointment comes through us. I approve it, and then I present it to you guys, and you would have to approve it.
Right, but we've never not approved somebody that they've already vetted, which I think when they're on the committee, they certainly have more knowledge of that person than we do. But I think somebody out of county, I just think that, can we not make a spot for this person as counsel without giving him voting rights?
By
Without
that
putting him on-
logic, we should only let people from Marysville be on the council, because we don't control Marshall County's budget.
Right.
So what?
But still, they're in Marshall County, and they have an interest in the Kester House. I see that. I mean, I can see taking it to the county. I can't see taking it outside the county.
Now, Vicki, this is just an advisory board.
Right.
We
Are you
have
an
the-
advisor?
We have the voting power.
Are you on an advisory board in Seneca or Manhattan? Would they have any of us outside their domain?
Well, I think the key concept is that we have a Marysville High School graduate that has some talents that would be helpful on this board, and he wants to be on the board.
Make him special advisor. Give him a position.
I don't think we need to add more bureaucracy to an advisory board.
Well, I'm saying you want this one person, and we're changing the rules totally for this one person.
Well, I mean, it might happen again. I mean, we might have a Marysville, Kansas graduate in another county or in Topeka or something that's willing to help with us. I think it's, we're not specifying Mike Lasky in this. We're just saying we have someone that brings.
Is that who it is?
That brings something to, that's who they desire to, but that to be discussed after we get this drafted up and things. But, I don't know, does anyone else feel like it's a mistake?
I don't say mistake if the man's interested. make him a special advisor to the advisory board. Give him a spot, but not voting privileges like every other member on their advisory board.
Well, of course, when we vote on anything, it doesn't have any weight until it's gone through you guys.
Right.
So,
But I don't want to be in a position at that point, after you all have done that. I mean, I say, don't give him a right to vote, put him in as an advisor.
We
Create a
discussed
position.
the fact that, 2 of the 7-member board, they could never have a quorum. They could never overrule the Marysville majority. We did discuss that.
That's fine, that's my opinion, that's all.
And I hear what you're saying about putting him in as an advisor, but by putting him on the board, that's actually what we're doing. We're putting him in as an
He doesn't
advisor.
vote.
But their vote doesn't, no offense, their vote doesn't count.
we're well aware of that.
They're advisors. It's a
we do the
board
best
of
we can.
advisors.
I listen to what they
It's an
say.
advisor to an advisor.
If
I
they
mean,
provide something to us, I listen to what
Our
they say.
vote is what counts.
binding.
Okay,
Okay.
that's,
And the other thing they suggested is on item C, it talks specifically how the members are, when their terms expire, and we were going to try to clean that up a little bit and just say something like, the term of each office shall be 2 years. Each member of the board shall serve for 2 years, with 3 members appointed on odd years and 4 members appointed on even years, something like that, so that we don't have to change that every time. And that's a way to say that it's staggered using odd. Are you okay with that? I just wrote that down.
Yeah, no, myself, when I was reading this ordinance, I thought, that's kind of silly to have all those exact dates in there.
Yeah, so if we do odd numbered and even numbered, we keep the same theory and
Right,
not
yeah,
tie it
just
to a
make it
specific.
simpler.
So those are basically the 2 changes they wanted to make to that ordinance, so,
Mayor, I'd move to approve the changes to the ordinance or to create a new ordinance replacing ordinance number 1522.
okay, is there a second? All right, is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
no.
7-1. And Debbie, you think you can draft that up for us at the next meeting?
Yes, you got it.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, Sharon Ekus, we have back-to-back Sharons.
9 of Sharon's. I am here to discuss the John David Lynch IRA that he left money to the Lee Dam Center for Fine Art. And I think you guys all got my email explaining the background. So I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to go after this.
Well, when I read this, the first thing that came to my attention is really it's a legal matter because of the way that it has to do with an inheritance or a distribution, I should say.
Yeah, it's a transfer of assets, basically. He'd established an IRA with the beneficiary being the Lee Dam Center for Fine Art. We did not know anything about this until his remembrance ceremony, or his celebration of life ceremony at the Lee Dam Center in March. He actually died in January. So, then I started talking to the Fidelity folks, and because the Lee Dam, they can't really transfer assets to a building per se because there's no tax identity for the building. So the guys that I talked to at Fidelity basically said if we just explain our relationship as the Marshall County Arts Cooperative to the building, then that would suffice for the transfer of assets.
I think that, I still think we have to send the paperwork through our legal counsel to make sure we do it correctly. Whatever documents you have from Fidelity, just that states, and there is no official Lee Dam Center for Fine Art, correct? There's nothing called that.
No tax entity.
Yeah, there's nothing really called that exact thing.
Correct. That's the reason that Marshall County Arts Cooperative was filling out the paperwork, because unless you have a tax ID or want to establish a tax ID for the Art Center, there's no way to transfer the assets, which we only have until the end of December to get this done, or we lose the money, which we don't even know how much it is because we don't.
I would think since the Lee Dam Art Center is owned by the city, it's a city building, that that's what our legal counsel would advise, that it,
That's why I think the legal counsel should look at the documents.
That the funds go to
I mean,
the
that's
city.
just to make sure we do everything right. So can you get the documents to our city attorney?
I've already filled them all out on behalf of the Marshall County Arts Cooperative, so if you guys want to fill out new documents, you're going to have to order them from Fidelity because they're all scribbled out with my stuff for Marshall County Arts Cooperative.
What information do you have from Christina Germano?
I have her father's, like his letter that he wrote to Willa Griswold and his celebration of life, like his
Okay.
instructions and.
Do you have anything specifically about the IRA?
I mean, what are you asking me? I'm sorry. What exactly, like, are you wanting from Christina?
Well, I want to know, like a will or something that shows that this IRA exists and who it was the beneficiary was listed to.
That's what the Fidelity documents indicate, is
Okay,
who
well,
the
then that's-
beneficiary is.
Okay, then we'll just have Craig look at those.
As I filled them out, like, he just wants to look at what I've done, or does he want new documents? Because that's the part I'm a little fuzzy
think we're
on. I
probably
mean, I don't care if he
giving
looks
the
at what
whole
I filled out.
Well, why don't you give him what you filled out?
Okay.
And then give him that information, and then if Craig has any questions, he can contact us.
Okay.
But just, so what is the intent though?
Well, the intent is to make that
Does the city want the money or does they want?
Well, the intent is to fulfill whatever the will says correctly. That's the whole purpose. So we need to read the documents. That's my purpose. We don't want to do anything that isn't legal, right? Whoever gets the money. So I think that legally we need to do that step. But we can do it straight away. If you would get the information, I know you're going to be busy this week. If you would get the information and get it to Craig and tell him the urgency of getting back with us, please?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, and I don't think this was in the will or anything. I mean, this was an IRA with a beneficiary of the Lee Dam Center. It's not an issue of a will. It's like a life insurance policy with a beneficiary. It's not
Okay, well,
a
just,
will.
so Fidelity probably has that information that they can send to Craig to show that document. Anyway, I just think we have
Can
to
I just
leave
give
it.
this to you tonight? Like,
you want
is that the easiest way to do this?
If you want to, I can follow up.
There
Take
you
me a
go.
trip downtown, is that okay?
That's
The
fine.
Okay.
first copy of the documents is my scribbles, and the second
Okay.
copy is like the actual, because there's two, you have two chances to fill out the document. I'll go back.
Okay.
You have two chances to fill out the document, and one was after I was talking to them, that I scribbled out certain areas that they said not to fill out, and the other one is like the black ink, that part of it.
Okay.
So-
Okay, and even if it goes to you, I think it might have to go through the city to you. I mean, I think we have to.
Unless you have a tax ID for the building, they can't transfer the assets.
Well, Craig can take care of this. We'll have
Yeah.
Craig. Let's go
That's what
back
the
to.
guys at Fidelity told me, yeah.
We'll go back to Craig here on
Okay.
this. Okay, thanks for your patience,
You're
and we'll
welcome.
try to address it by next week, if you can keep it on your top of your
Okay.
desk. Thank you. The next item, Greg Graham called me right before the meeting and said he is unable to make it to the meeting tonight, and that he would like to discuss it at a later date. I know Keith brought this. Is there anything you want to say, or you want to wait till Greg is here?
What?
Greg is unable to come tonight, and so he said he'd like to discuss it with council at a later date. Do you want us just to keep these for now? And are you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. Since you brought additional information, I thought I should ask you, Keith. Okay, so we'll reconsider that whenever Greg is available. The next item is a resolution of the city boundaries, and Debbie knows about this. When I received all these pages of descriptions, the first thing I said is, can we have a map? So she got us
So I
a
have the
map.
map, and basically, we have not updated our boundaries since 2007. And the reason why is because of all of that railroad property, specifically down here. This legal description took some doing, and we submitted it to the state, and then they said, well, we don't have certain parts, and then I know that a previous legal counsel was working on it with the railroad, and I don't know where it ever ended, and then we changed legal counsel, and so we decided, well, we need to get our maps updated, and we need to work on our planning and zoning maps as well. So I reached out to Rob with CES, and they were working with us before, so he pulled up all of his records, and I sent him all the information from 2007 to now of everything that we've annexed and different things, and this is what they've come up with, and the yellow area is the area that will change from 2007 to now. And you can see on the bottom there that they've kind of just tapered that off straight to simplify.
Line there.
To simplify it. And so I think we're gonna, if this goes, then we'll forward it on to the state and the necessary people and appropriate parties and see if we can go for it and then maybe keep up to date with it.
So CES drafted the resolution?
CES did, yes.
And did Craig look at it? And do we need to have Craig look
Craig
at it?
hasn't looked at it.
No, this is, they should.
Legal description?
They should know what they're doing. This
You
is
don't
his,
think
this
it-
is expertise, yes.
So you don't think there's a need for Craig to look at it? Okay. Do you guys have any questions about that? I guess the main thing, I appreciate the yellow map. Makes it much, this meant nothing to me, actually. But the key thing is, the only thing you did reduce the property on the east side of 77, mainly because there was no description of it. Do I understand
Right,
that
because the legal description is so, like, and these boundaries, I mean, if you look at it, it was just, I mean, how do you, I mean, I guess I don't know how you even write the legal description for that, and going back and forth with a railroad, I don't know that anybody really knew where to get it or what to do, so, I guess that they just cut it off, squared it up, and
So did it used to go to the dotted line down here?
Spring Creek?
It went along right here and just jagged
That's beyond
out there.
Spring.
Oh, out here?
Yeah,
see here out here, and
Oh, I
it
see
was
what you're
just.
saying.
it was a weird spike.
Okay.
Are all these yellow places?
So they
new?
actually squared it off
Yeah,
here?
it'll be
This is
new
what
and
we-
included,
Right,
yep.
right.
And this was what
So
we,
is this narrow piece here, does this have to do with the rail trail?
No, because that's the opposite side of the track.
Oh, so it is.
Where are you talking about?
That's
Vicki?
the levee. That's the
Yeah,
levee.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the
Well, what
levee.
about up here where 8th Street goes to Jayhawk Road?
That was because Hartley Ridge come into the city, so we took that right away in.
was
We gotta
Hartley
go over
Ridge
that.
already part of the city
Yeah.
in 207?
We took over that, but
07?
we didn't have before.
We took
No.
it, but we haven't
Well,
had
no.
legal documents for it?
Yes, actually, I think maybe we just rezoned it. Is that right?
In 07, it had already been
I'm not
included?
sure on the dates again. It looked like it was.
But do you know,
What's with these?
because Hartley Ridge
Well,
is,
except for the corner in that map.
And that one is still not.
oh, so you're saying way back then, it
So
already
it's
showed?
surrounded by city limits, but
It
not
was
city
already in the
limits?
boundary, it was already part of the boundaries.
Okay, I got a
Okay.
question. Why
See,
we
the lines here,
We can do that.
That's a discussion for
already-
another time.
Okay, sorry.
this is freeze. That ain't it. See these ones dotted
I don't
lines?
think
So-
that's the only island I know of. Are there
That's
other
already
islands?
in. And these must not have been in it.
Or I guess it'd be enclaves as opposed to exclaves.
So if we do not pick this part up, right there, who has to maintain that when it comes to levy maintenance?
Well, I mean, if it's city-owned property, then we'll have to maintain
Yeah,
it.
it can be
Even though it's
city-owned.
not in the boundaries.
It can be
I
city-owned
mean, these are just
property
the
even
boundaries.
outside of city limits.
So we're setting city limits, but that property we will have to maintain, I mean,
Yeah, yeah, 'cause-
Well, the dam is
think
that
about
way.
it, think about the wells. That's city-owned
And the
property.
dam.
and it's
And the
out.
dam.
This north of
And
Well, that's in,
Remember, this goes
no,
back
it's
to
not
not.
according to this, it's not.
And we already did this.
No, but
Yeah.
the wells is the best example. We own that property, but it's not in
The
city
maps
limits.
just want to be
Okay,
straightened out.
okay. And is that the only thing that we took away?
Right, I mean, basically just this little, and then this little part up here, same thing, just this little railroad area line.
See, you know, here,
We used to have that as part of city limits?
Well, that's what was
Yeah, it's another
proposed, but
one of
again,
those spikes.
part of that legal
Yeah.
description, I guess, was just,
Hard to define?
well, and I don't know if the railroad, I mean, when they deeded this property to us, I don't know if there were some issues with that. And again, different legal counsels and and everything. So, in working with Rob, he said, it's probably just gonna be better to, does the city really need this anyway? Do we need to take all the
As
time
part
and
of the
effort and
city
everything
limits.
to,
Okay.
right,
As part of the city limits.
Right.
I have to try to keep that in mind. It's not
Yes.
the city property,
Right.
it's the city limits.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I could probably use a refresher course on the work we did as far as bank stabilization on Spring Creek, South 77. Kevin, were you involved in that?
Here.
That,
Some of it.
I kind of assumed that was inside city limits. Why were we stabilizing a bank in the county?
It may be still in city limits, but
That,
this
that
is
was
just
because
That's
of
just
the
an
bridge.
finding the boundary.
It was because of the,
But we would have owned it, but it wasn't in city limits.
I guess that
we
falls
would have
under
owned
that
it.
rubric.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was just
I'm
like,
trying
I
to
guess
get
I
the
just thought it
lingo
was in
here.
city limits, but it's not.
Because we did do that repair
right.
right then.
Yeah,
Yeah, because we owned the center of the.
That's why.
Wherever that.
Right.
The creek.
the channel.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think that this is a starting point. If we get this off, to the state and they say, hey, something's not adding up here.
They'll
maybe you
check
need
all
to-
this.
Yes, they will.
They'll check it all. And then we can get going with the zoning maps and different things and go from there.
Okay, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve resolution 2017-04, updating the city boundaries.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0, very good.
Just let the state have it, see
Yeah,
have their
Let's
chance.
see what they
there.
say. See what they say to us.
Starting place anyway.
All right, I would entertain a motion to recess the city council meeting at this time.
Move to recess city council at this time.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0, and call to order the Public Building Commission. Roll call, please.
Beichman,
Yes.
Biesinger,
Present.
Boss,
Present.
Ekis,
Present.
Fry,
Present.
Gross.
Present.
Schroller,
Present.
Crum.
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, we have one bill to pay for the Emma filing for the bonds, PBC bonds.
I move that we pay Cooper Malone McCain for the EMMA filing, PBC bonds, in the amount of $1,000.
Second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. That's only business of the PBC, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the PBC.
Move to adjourn the PBC.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. All right, we will resume the regular order of business. As far as notices and hearing, Darlene, do you want to announce the planning commission?
Yes, there will be, the planning and commission will meet Thursday at 7 o'clock. And there are several items on the agenda in addition to Valley Vet, the new credit union structure, and also the planning commission will look at the draft of the ordinance pertaining to these storage containers.
The intermodal containers, yeah. So that'll be Thursday night here at City Hall if you want to go. I know that there's going to be a bonfire that night, and Dave's our fire chief. Will you make sure that we do have some firemen out there if he's here? I don't know what time the bonfire was. Did you remember? Do you remember what time the bonfire is on Thursday night?
I don't.
Okay, but there'll be someone else to cover that fire?
As far as
It's not a fire, the bonfire?
the bonfire, as far as
Fire
fire.
protection?
Yes, yes.
Okay, since Dave will be at that meeting. Okay, just want to make sure. All right, that was the only thing that I was aware of. The next item is the consent agenda.
Move to approve consent agenda. Second.
I have two quick items that I wanted to point out to you guys on page 30. You know, we're currently on set sewer, and it shows that for the month of August, for water collection, we had $103,000, and our set sewer collection for August for sewer was $64,000. So that meant that 38% of it, we did not collect sewer on. And I was trying to ask Austin, is that realistic that 38% of it went to the yards and flowers and things like that. It just seemed like a high percentage. I did look last year for the same, in August 16th, and the difference was 30%. And I looked for the month prior in July, and it was 27%. But it just seemed like a high number. Do you want them to look into that at all? To make, the fear is that you're losing sewer revenues by how we're doing set sewer. Did you follow all that?
We haven't had any rain. I think that might be.
Yeah, you don't think that, you're not
big
worried? You want to
factor.
see what next month brings? Next month isn't set sewer yet, right? September's not. Yeah, September is.
Continue set sewer,
So we'll see one more month. But if it's a huge difference like that, I think we need to at least look at it. I mean, there's nothing set in stone that we have to do set sewer for is it 6 months? Or 5 months?
6.
6, okay. So there's nothing that says we can't change that criteria to determine what our set sewer is. Austin had said for Chapman that they use 3 months rather than 6, the average.
Yeah, we averaged out January, February, March as what the next months of set sewer would be.
It just seemed like a big difference there. Just kind of bring it to your attention. We can kind of keep an eye on it. And the other thing I wanted to note is on page 36, where we look at our revenues in the general fund by category. And as you can see, our municipal court fees, our revenues year-to-date are only about $26,000, and our expenses year-to-date was our revenues are 26 and our expenses are 36. So I talked to Austin about this, and he said that I can write a letter to the judge recommending that we increase our court fees, the set court fees. I can't determine the fines, but I can make a recommendation, and I can't make that happen, but I can make a recommendation that they increase the court fees so that at least we break even on that. How do you guys feel about that?
Increase it.
Do it?
Increasing court fees, we're not going to get any more money anyway when the people, if you notice the collections, somebody may owe $500 and they pay $10 a month. You can increase the fees, but all that means is they now owe $600 and they're still paying just $10 a month.
Well,
And some of them are going to die before they ever pay. Huh?
They still gotta pay it.
I know, but it's not going to add up.
Well,
You know what
we
I'm
will have people that pay their court fees up front. I mean, all of it, the bill at once, and for those people, we will get that money right away.
I'm not really knowledgeable in other places' court fees, and I know we like to play the comparison game sometimes.
That's a true point, good point.
So
I know
we're-
you're going, I'm not looking for Austin to do anything for a while. So Debbie,
something out.
can you
See what
find
we got.
out
I think
what
Keep that
some stuff
recording.
out.
comparable court fees are? And just to see, and are you guys okay that if it does look like ours are low, for me to go ahead and make that request? Or do you
Yes.
want to see her analysis first?
I like to see the analysis.
You want to see her analysis first and then make a decision? Okay.
And just to go along with that, just a thought process, we can do the analysis, which is great, we can see what everybody else is doing, but on the bottom line, we gotta see what we need. And if we continue to do the 10,000 deficit or whatever deficit we're having, we need to make the
We'll have to
adjustment.
raise it anyway.
Yeah, we'll have to raise it anyway.
Well, we can make the recommendation.
yes.
The judge has to accept it.
Yeah, the
But we
judge
can
has-
make the recommendation.
Yes.
Okay. All right, those are my 2 comments about the consent agreement. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? 8-0. All right, the appropriations ordinance?
I move that we approve appropriations ordinance number 3658.
In the amount, aren't you going to say in the amount, Darlene?
In the amount of $141,872.49.
Thank you. And who is this?
And I might mention that there are no huge bills in there, but street lights is $5,898, and other electrical is $11,671, so $17,570 will go to the electric company.
To Westar. Okay. Says the retiree from West Arm. Okay, did you second that, Kev?
Yes.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
I have a question, please.
Okay,
On the AT&T UVerse, the internet at the pool, is that going to be disconnected for winter?
Yes, already been requested.
thank you for doing that. Anything else? Okay, roll call.
Eichmann,
Yes.
Biesinger,
Yes.
Boss,
Yes.
Ekis,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Gross.
Yes?
Schroller,
Yes.
Throm.
Yes.
It's 8-0.
Thank you very much. All right, Austin?
Okay. First on my report is Crosswalk Construction Engineering. It's an estimate for the crosswalks that are going down by the high school, the two crosswalks. It's an estimate on the construction engineering side. And what this form or what CES filled out was a state form, and they filled it out according to KDOT's regulations, as in KDOT says fill it out to a worst-case scenario. And I talked to Tony about this, and I was hoping Tony would be here if we had any questions on it. He was down in Waterville, or he needed to be down in Waterville. But he said it was a worst-case scenario that if we didn't fill it out in this manner, and let's say he put down $16,000 as the estimated cost, and it just blows it out of water for some odd reason, KDOT would not honor the extra money that it costs. He also stated that he does not see it coming in close to that number. This is like if the whatever construction company comes in, finds some issues and has to work all 30 of the working days, 10-hour days, and the engineering company has to be there every one of those hours. That's what this estimate comes out to be. The original estimation was $14,250, I believe, either that or $14,500, somewhere in there. But like I said, this is just an estimate. We are not bound. This is not what we're going to pay. This is just a worst-case scenario.
So when I came in this afternoon, I told Austin my concern was, and Debbie, my concern was that this is a joint out-of-pocket expenditure with the school, and to make sure that the school is okay with this potential upper limit before we agree to the whole thing, because they're 50-50 partners on this. So Debbie sent an email or called, and you did not hear back today. So I suggest that we make a motion to do it contingent on the school willing to pay 50% of this maximum fee. Do you guys have any other questions about it specifically, other than that?
So it was just a construction survey that made it go higher?
No, it's just, what do you mean? I guess.
I mean, construction survey or materials that made the estimate go higher, or?
I think it's probably manpower, don't you think? Because you said it would.
It's just, they filled out a form, and their hours, reflected on it. Let's see. And Tony's actually pulling in right now, so.
He didn't expect us to be this fast.
No, he did not. Well, he expected Waterville to go real fast. But his total direct payroll cost was $10,160, and then it goes, and this is starting on page 53, and then you go down, and it shows you engineering labor, and then salary-related overhead of 152.59%, and this is where it kind of kicks in, and we can ask actual specific questions as he walks in the door.
So the time frame of this, we need to approve it at some level tonight, right? So our time frame is, what happened, did you say happened on the 20th?
Yeah, bidding on the 20th.
Bidding on the 20th.
And they need to know if the city is okay with this before then.
Okay, so the bidding is on September 20th, so we have to approve something tonight?
Yeah.
And we were just discussing about how it's the maximum amount,
Correct.
and not until you do the project will you know the exact amount.
Correct, yep. It's all by hour. We
And
audits and controls all of that as far as our hours and
who does?
KDOT.
KDOT.
Yep. They'll take an invoice. Of course, this one, there might only be one, but they'll take an invoice and they'll look at the hours we put down. They'll come to our office and we produce timesheets and pay stubs. And they check everything and make sure what we said we're paying the guy is what we actually paid them. And so.
So, because overall, it's really not that huge of a project.
No.
I think that, and before you came, I was saying that my concern was that this is a 50-50 split for out-of-pocket costs with the school, and I would just like to know from the school that they're willing to pay whatever the 50-50 is of this maximum amount. You haven't discussed this with the school district, have you?
No.
Okay.
That's the first I heard that I didn't know it was a 50-50 split or.
Yeah,
No,
and that's-
because it's all coming through us anyways. We are the provider, the school just pretty much signed a letter off on it.
Yeah, all, the cost above the $95,000 TA grant is being split between the school and us, 50-50. So that's why I just wanted the school to be aware of what the maximum construction engineering cost could be.
And we'll contact them on it.
Yeah, the only thing we look at is working days. So when KDOT says there's 30 working days, that's where all our hours are based off of. Because that contractor can work all 30 days. And then by spec, they have 5 cleanup days. Then there's always 3 weather days where they show up for half the day and then it starts raining and they leave. And so they don't get charged a working day, but we still put in the half a day of work down there with them. So we just build hours to the maximum because KDOT doesn't like you to come back and ask for more, to give
Right.
reasons why, hey, they worked 10 extra days that we weren't planning on. They don't like to give more money out. So you build for the worst case scenario. And
You guys okay with that? So I would entertain a motion, having it contingent on the school district agreeing to pay 50% of these. That's how I would like the motion to be. Unless you don't think that's necessary, I think it's kind of because if they don't agree to it, then that would be more out of pocket for the city, and we can always have a special meeting and discuss it at that point. But right now, it would seem we can let it go, assuming they let it go.
All right, Mayor. How should the motion go? I'll get it out, I'll make the motion to put it out there.
Just to approve the proposal for the construction engineering services.
Move to approve the proposal for construction engineering, the construction engineering being CES.
Contingent on the school district
Contingent upon school district approval
approving
of
the maximum amount
the
presented.
maximum of $29,791.
That's perfect.
Second.
Is there a second? Okay, is there any further discussion?
Yes. Tony, is this normal when KDOT gives you numbers that they say this should be able to be done at? I mean, they gave you the $14,500 number, right?
no,
You did that?
nope. I have no idea. What number is that?
The
That's
first
the
number.
original.
The original estimation
original
of the
estimate.
engineering.
Do you know who did that?
Who'd that come from?
I have no idea. I don't.
Do you know?
I guess I don't. It's since, it was written before me, my time, so that's.
Do you know, Debbie?
I don't know.
Okay, so obviously when we first estimated the project, that was what we estimated construction engineering fees to be.
Right.
Well,
Is that
some-
like a number in an application or something?
Yeah, it was
for
the
funding?
initial design and construction engineering estimate in the application.
Yeah, 14,500. And that's what they came to you with, right? I mean, somebody said, this is it, and you said, no, we have to go 29,791, which is double.
No,
I've
no,
never heard of that number.
no,
15.
they made it up, because they made up their numbers after or they came up with their numbers after KDOT said.
Calculated.
Yes. They calculated their numbers off of KDOT's estimation or what they're giving the contractor the days. They gave,
Okay, so-
KDOT gave 30 days.
We don't know where this 14.5 came from to begin with then, huh? We don't know where that came from? The original estimate?
That was probably done way before the design was even done.
Yeah.
So the design gets done, then KDOT builds the working days off of that. Then the working days, what the inspection fees are based off of.
I think the key thing here, Vic, is that KDOT monitors the hours that he spends, so whatever they actually spend is what they're gonna bill us. And he's saying that he's included in this bill every possible hour that he could bill.
Okay, I get that, but I wondered why this initial estimate, if it wasn't yours, if it didn't come from KDOT, it came from somewhere.
It could have been BG, was it?
No.
No?
No.
But the transportation.
BG just said they copied the number.
CES has provided an estimate for construction engineering. The estimate is $29,791, which is $15,000 higher than the initial estimate in the application. So I'm wondering where that initially came from, that an actual estimate for doing the job is $29,791, which we're not getting the bid against. We're just saying, okay, if he says that's the number, that's the number.
But it's not it's a worst case estimate. It's a doomsday where the weather acts up and they work 3 half days and then they do the extra 5 days cleanup and then they're working 10-hour days.
But when we approve this, we're saying he can go that high. I mean, we gotta figure that that's what we may end up spending.
That's a maximum, but
We could.
it's true.
Because we're approving that.
But KDOT is monitoring their work and their billed hours.
Well, that's what I thought that KDOT had furnished this original estimate to bid to. That's why I'm saying, if they said it was this amount and they're KDOT, then how can we say it could go $29,791? I'm just wanting to understand what we're approving here.
I'm pretty sure, I mean, because we submitted that stuff you have all directly to KDOT, and pretty sure they reviewed the hours and the hourly fees and say, yeah, that's reasonable to us. I mean, we've had them come back and say, that's too many hours or that's too few hours also. It's gone both ways, so they look at it and say, yep, that seems, the amount of hours for this project seems reasonable, so.
Okay.
Which we did come in $2,000 underneath our design estimate. I mean, there's a chance we could come out right on target or right within the target.
It's very contractor dependent. I mean, if they come in and do the job in 15 days, you'll spend
Half.
$12,000. I mean, so it's
Okay.
completely dependent on the contractor, unfortunately. If they take all 30 days because they just are inefficient, then
Who's on our side that's gonna be sitting out there on them to make sure they're working?
that's us.
It's you?
Yep.
Are we gonna have somebody from the city?
Yeah, well, we've auctioned it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we are
Aren't you glad
your
you came?
inspector. Yes.
Tony. Sorry to be so hard on you,
Second.
but, you know, this is tax money and I need to understand when I'm voting on something, what I'm,
Well, these are the easy ones for us. Again, to us, it's just KDOT gives us the working days. You know, the hours work themselves out from that, so.
all right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? 8-0. All right. Austin?
Okay, my second item is what you guys wanted to know from last meeting, the downtown tree program that I was working on. And I kind of lined it out here. Basically, the way I envision it is to get downtown looking all pretty much, not all the same, that's pretty bland description of it, but symmetrical and consistent, there we go, that's the word I was looking for, consistent in the way the trees look, or whatever looks down Broadway, and how the trees are treated as far as maintenance and all that stuff. And the way to do it, or as how I envision it, is to have one central caretaking program. And the way I'm proposing it is for us to basically take over the trees downtown and get them up in order, because right now we are relying on each and every business to go out and maintain right in front of their property. And some people do it, and some people do it really well, and I'm not blaming them or anything like that for the rest of downtown, but other people don't care to maintain those things adjacent to their properties, and they're not shy about showing it. We have some spots with no tree and overgrown weeds that get up to this level where we end up going in and spraying the weeds, and then it just comes back next year. We also got just some malaligned sections of downtown. But so to get it all consistent, this is what I'm proposing. And the way I would do it is just hire somebody to come in, put the trees in, take some of the dead ones out, there's at least one tree that doesn't belong downtown. It is overgrowing its spot. It's a ash tree right next to Reflections. It's going to bring up that sidewalk sooner rather than later, and replace it. And then basically, since we don't have the manpower, have that same company come back the next year, or during the first and at least the second year, maintain those trees, which I've talked to some contractors, and they said that makes it better, and they'd even warranty the trees because they were implementing the process themselves. So that kind of maintains the fact that these trees will look good, and they would be the right kind of trees for downtown settings, and that way we can make the consistency go. It would make downtown shine and be a community achievement, if you will. Yes.
Can I jump in?
Yes.
Thank you for putting this together. I probably got a lot of questions. One is, we probably have no idea how much this would cost.
I have an idea.
Okay. Well, before we go run down that road, have you talked to Main Street or any of the other maybe interested?
They came up with, Main Street actually made this, designed this, Tony designed this.
The tree location.
Yeah.
Map?
Yes,
Well, I think
the design committee for Main Street.
Who plotted this out?
Well, I think the thing I have, I'm most concerned about is, this proposal just has the trees evenly spaced, and you think about our Main Street has different sides of fronts and different entrance points, and people have paid for signage on their building and have paid for signage on their windows. And I think it's important that, not as important to be symmetric even, but balanced, but maybe positioned where a business owner would be okay with
It's not the
it.
dead center of their sign?
Yeah,
Sort of thing. And-
or dead center of their entrance,
And
I mean,
I think we would be really ill-advised to go headlong into anything like this without talking to all of the business owners, because,
and you want to make sure the business owners actually want trees in front of their.
Well, we want to make sure
businesses.
that they understand that they won't be responsible for that tree anymore.
But even if they want trees,
And-
because, okay, so be the devil's advocate, like when I was walking down Main Street today, some of them had low branches.
Yeah.
And some of them, there was bird
And that goes back to what he was saying too. Some trees are definitely not the ones that should be there. I don't think there's ever been a cohesive layout, at least not that I'm aware of, to what was planted. It was just, can I plant a tree? And yeah, sure, go ahead.
And then I don't think we'd want to put any in front of the Kester House Museum. Is Sharon still here? No, she's not.
No, I wouldn't, I don't think there's any spots there.
And then I'm thinking also in front of the library, and
Again, this would be where right now would be where we have spots available. And
There's some spots where you can tell they used to be and they just poured concrete where the grate was because it's different concrete, or it's cracking up because it wasn't poured correctly.
Yeah.
What if they don't want a tree?
That goes into a different problem. I mean, you're going back to the situation where, yes, I can sympathize with that, and I agree. Why put one in front of a business that doesn't want it?
We pulled out a perfectly good tree perfectly good tree in front of Bolton McNish. He didn't want it, so we took it out.
And he just put
It was
that,
damaged by a snowplow.
well,
No, it really was damaged by
He
a
just put
snowplow.
that
I'm not one to
rampant-
take trees out.
but I'm saying he just put that ramp in, remember, and he doesn't have space for a tree outside his.
And that's why it'd take a lot of planning as far as not blocking signs, making sure you worked with the business. Maybe they want a narrower tree. I mean, I think there'd be a lot of communication
Yeah,
that
I
have to
think
make
we
this
have to
happen.
start with the businesses
Yeah.
and
Well, I
Main
think
Street
it's a-
Directory and say,
No, and.
It's a conversation.
And I agree, it's a conversation, but then think about it the way we have it right now. You go, hey, do you want a tree? No, I don't want a tree. Hey, do you want a tree? No, I don't want a tree. Oh, I want a tree, yeah. And now you got
well,
tree,
then
no
maybe
tree, no
you
tree, no
plot
tree.
out the people that do want trees and see what it looks like. You never know, it might be perfect. I mean, I think you have to start, you can't overrule a person who has to shovel snow around a tree. They might not want to, they're supposed to maintain that sidewalk. They might not want to shovel around us. They might not want a tree, and I think you have to it's their business property. You
Well,
can't.
but it's city property and
But
we're trying
they
to create an
maintain it.
environment. It's a
Yeah,
balance.
Well, one businessman told me that he just put in new sidewalk and put in the bricks and stuff like everybody else did, but he doesn't want a tree in front of his place.
So I
'Cause
think
he don't want his street
It's a
sidewalk
balance.
tore up because he just spent money to put it in.
So I think what our approach should be, and ask the Main Street Director, Michelle, to go and say, can you go from block 7th Street to 11th and go and see who is willing to have a tree in front of theirs and what that proposal would look like? Just,
But-
if you make everybody happy, what would it look like? And then we can look at this, we have something to
I
start with.
don't think we'll be able to make everybody happy.
Well, I just meant as far as a tree. We're not
It'll have
going
to be a majority.
Well, I'm just saying,
decision.
if the people say, I don't want the tree here, but I want the tree here, we can accommodate that.
And frankly, and I think you could involve the tree board with some of this probably. I mean, we have a tree board I know feels underappreciated.
Yes.
This is their forte.
Right.
You know, and if it's a situation where they don't want a tree because they don't want X, well, maybe we could work with them as far as something else that would be complementary, that would be more than just concrete. Well, what if we put a planting? I know when United Bank redid theirs, they were interested in doing something. maybe-
Planters.
Planters.
They wanted to put, and we told them no.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. If it's part of a cohesive plan, maybe that would be something kind of a compromise. Well, if they want to do that, we're happy to help them with that as
Right,
well.
right.
I think it's
It's hard to find a
cohesive
tree that's
and-
high enough.
And it doesn't
that
get,
Gives you shade, but doesn't get very big.
And doesn't go
And
in-
I'm sure you can find the perfect tree. But I think we have to start with our business owners.
Yeah.
yeah,
And see what they want
and
to do.
Main Street and the tree board.
Yeah.
I would like to know why that we did not include anything past 7th Street. Our
No tree
downtown
spots.
continues
No
on down
tree-
there.
No tree spots.
There aren't any yet.
Yeah, so we would have to go through and cut the sidewalk out and do that. This is an initial plan where we have it set up.
There was a tree spot in front of Cromie's. I don't know if that
They
was
put a new
great.
sidewalk in.
Yeah,
they
that's
did
where
put a
they,
new
okay.
sidewalk in.
I was gonna say, I
on it,
remembered
too.
one there.
Yeah. But this was an initial plan where we already had the facility for a tree, and that way it was hey, we have the ability to put these in. We can make this part of downtown really nice and green, and yes, and so we can send that on with Main Street. And
For what it's worth, and I was gonna bring this up during roundtable, but since it ties in here, some of the out-of-towners who were here for the Gravel Dash this weekend, including a Beatrice City Councilman, said, oh, you guys are so lucky to have a downtown that's full of businesses and it's got, some trees and things. It looks like when they go and they fake a downtown, like, no offense to Manhattan, but like Manhattan's trying to do down around there, south of the mall and their other development, that's what they do. They try to make it look like nice storefronts and they put an occasional tree and things. He's like, you guys have the real deal. And he said, you don't know how lucky you are when you get bigger towns like Beatrice that don't have that kind of downtown, that it's abandoned buildings and brown and concrete and peeling paint. And so I definitely think we have something good there
Nice
and something to
downtown.
kind of cater to make sure we kind of keep up
Yeah.
And trees do make it much more attractive.
livable and it keeps it cooler.
So the direction of the council is to kind of take it to Main Street, get an idea of who would want it and a revised placement of what it would look like, right?
Yes, move
Give it to
forward.
us from 7th to 11th, okay?
Yep,
Well done, Austin.
Yes, thank you.
thank you.
I think you need to go 6th.
You, in front of Boss Motors want some trees?
Boss isn't gonna want trees.
Well, see, originally when the street lights were put in, that was on the other side of the tracks, and that part of town was treated differently as to putting in the sidewalks and who had to.
If you're gonna look at it that far though, you might as well look all the way to Fourth. I mean, downtown's expanded there and it's.
Well, actually-
I've already put a bug in sunflowers here.
Okay.
Well, let's start with 7th to 11th, and we can always expand it based on what it looks
Sure.
like at that point, or we can start with this, and, you know, maybe we can get some positive feedback, and the other people will want us to go in front of theirs.
Right, like putting in a stoplight, and it spans down the highway.
Yeah, so do you think Joe's would want one?
No. No, because he
It'd be
has,
great for a beer garden, you shade.
Nice shade, yeah.
I think that those businesses should be included in the initial talk.
Which is-
instead of added later, like they're the
You think it's
stepchild.
just 6th Street?
Talk to them.
I think, personally, I'd go all the way to Fifth.
I would too.
myself.
Might even think about going to Fourth because you've got those businesses there, the
At least on the
CJ
south.
Express, and the new savings and loan coming in. Talk to them.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
They're part of our Marysville Main Street.
Yes.
I'm just thinking about the parking down there between 4th and 5th. We put that angle parking, and we made those bump outs. I don't think we made,
You put a tree in the bump out.
The bump out, if you put the right tree there, you probably could. I mean, I'm not a landscape designer, but
okay, well, all right.
there's options probably. And but while the construction's going on would be the time to have that conversation.
Because they'll be in town with the jackhammer.
Exactly.
Exactly. Anyway, so.
Okay, so there's your marching orders after the baby.
Well, we'll get Michelle started.
Michelle, she can march.
Yeah, she can march. She's really good at that. Okay, financials. As you can see, we spent 58% of the general fund, 35% of the water fund, 38% of the sewer fund. And we have still pretty healthy cash on hand, 97 days, 218 days, 114 days of cash on hand for the general, water, and sewer funds respectively. So that's with keeping an eye on the 90 days, although typically the general fund will probably get below that just because of how our funds flow in. We get those spurts and they just skyrocket in days when we get the tax funds in, but it's still good to look at it.
You're really close on the general fund for last year.
Yeah.
Within 16,000.
Within
so-
16,000, yeah.
So I'm sure you'll make that up by the year.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping for just that little increase from the last sales tax installment. I think we should, just like all the other installments, we've had a little bit more. So that should make up as long as we keep.
In the general fund?
In the general fund. Because we get one more small,
Oh, you're talking motor vehicle.
yeah.
Motor vehicle tax.
No, we get a property tax, don't we? In November?
I thought it was just motor.
Yeah, a distribution. So we get that one, we should get a little bit more. And
A
as long
bump
as.
in October. You
Yeah.
get a bump in October.
Yeah, so hopefully we maintain or downgrade our spending and keep going. And like I said, we have good cash on hand, and those days, we're only referencing the operating funds themselves. We have really healthy reserve funds for the water and the sewer. 625 for the water, 625,000 for the water, and 761,000 for sewer. So that's always good to have there.
Good shape.
Any questions?
I like the maps, the charts, the graphs.
Thank you. All right. I guess before okay, last item is notification, or unless somebody really has any complaints about it, we are expecting to have a baby this week, and I'm going to take 2 weeks off to help, well, help is the wrong word. I want to be a parent, not just help, and be at home with my new kid. Don't know
The new
what it
kid.
is. The new kid. It's an it because we don't know what it is. Could be a puppy for all I know.
Remember, you're on TV.
You're used to puppies, that's your problem. This is a child.
Yeah. That's what our parents think. We're having puppy. But 2 weeks leave after, which we're expecting because she's going to be induced possibly Wednesday night if everything's going right. And so Thursday, I should start 2
Thursday?
weeks. Yeah,
And will Debbie be in charge?
I will.
pretty much.
All right.
Although I'd love an uninterrupted 2 weeks, I do expect phone calls if anybody needs any help.
You will be shocked if you don't get it.
Might as well you call you at 9.
You'll be up anyway.
I probably already,
Yeah,
yeah.
we might be getting emails at 2 in the morning. I just thought of this.
We'll send prayers for you and your
thank you.
wife and your new young one.
Thank you. Let's see. Oh, last thing I was going to say. We are, we've been getting phone calls about dusty streets. And, well, I can say for a fact that every day now we have our street sweeper out that we got back. And we are trying our best to get on top of it. It does take a few passes every street, so it takes time. We are picking up dust. We got quite a few streets, but we've also done quite a few more streets of chip and seal. So we are trying to catch up. We've done a lot of the busy routes, 2nd Street, 15th Street, 20th Street. They are still going to be a little dusty, just by fact that there's rock on top of them, but they are much better. We've also done 8th Street, but we are now going back and trying to get back on our sealing routes and catch up going that way, so we get the most, the people who've waited the longest first and go our sealing routes.
Did we do 70 blocks or 80 blocks? What did we do?
Oh, we did 24. I can do that math real quick. Let's see, 24. And then we did 17.
75?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
75 blocks.
75 blocks. So we did 75 blocks, and it's really slow. It takes time to get it done.
I had somebody ask me why we don't use pea gravel like they used back in the day.
This is going off of recommendations. There's multiple ways to do it, but this is what the training has been for. The selection of the materials and the oil, and this is just how it's best recommended, how when they go to classes, this is what they learn.
I think their point was that pea gravel pretty much has no dust.
Yeah.
Well, I think we discussed, remember at the budget meeting?
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do a man-made rock next year.
The
And
Nebraska.
we had already,
Yeah.
and we had
Well,
already,
it's actually Colorado.
Well, the stuff you saw in Nebraska.
Yes.
but we had
Yeah.
already bought the chips,
Right.
so, and we're still picking up
Well,
chips.
I just, I remember
we do with all
them
those
doing the
chips?
gravel.
Oh, well, we use them for
we
different
use them?
purposes. Yeah.
Okay. And so I've gotten a lot of calls from people about the dust. And so do you think we need to make it an overtime? Is it justify overtime running at night? Can the machine run nonstop?
I would hesitate to do that. Just
The problem at
Spread it,
night is
kill it.
everybody's home and their cars are parked.
And their windows
Their
are
windows
open.
are open.
People complain
Yeah.
about the dust.
yeah.
Then I
So-
had one person ask me, how come they did the concrete street up 8th Street there?
That's because something had to be done. Either we were to maintain a solid base or a solid street. It keeps the freezing out of the cracks and so on and so forth.
Was it one block of cement?
No, it's
about 3
Concrete?
blocks or 4.
it's not ideal to seal concrete, but it helps maintain it.
Have we done it before,
Yeah.
that street?
Yeah, it'd been done before.
Yeah.
North Street, 15th Street, are all concrete
Well, do you
streets.
think we should expand the hours a little bit, like from 8 to 10 hours?
But again, we just got the street sweeper back from the mechanic, and I'd rather not run it into the ground before the year end.
I think most people work till 5. Surely we could sweep till 5.
We do. He's out all day, and that's.
We need a good rain.
By the time
Yeah,
you run
I
a
mean, if
water
we get
truck,
some rain,
and
it
then
takes
he's
care
got
of
two or
half of
three,
it.
two dump trucks trying to keep up with him, trying to get the chips hauled off with
Yeah.
the.
So someone asked me, does a street sweeper put water down?
Yes.
To pick the rock up?
Yes.
But we water it because our street sweeper doesn't put enough rock out to cut the dust down.
Otherwise, it'd just be
Enough-
a cloud.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just a cloud otherwise.
So we water it, we go over and water it, and then we run the street sweeper who has more water in
Yeah.
it to pick it up.
Yeah.
So when we get done, you have 75 blocks to do. And so when they get done with that, are they gonna start back and do another run? Because I know that, you don't think,
That was all the runs they were gonna do this year, wasn't it?
I know, I
As
meant
far as street sweeping.
street sweeping. Like if you
It'll
go,
still be, they'll still be swept. It won't be, we won't,
They've swept some non-chip sealed streets.
yeah.
well, wasn't that for the gravel dash though?
Was it?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
They only did that for the.
That was for you, Todd.
Well, I didn't appreciate it. I guess.
No, they swept, that was the only day, well, other than the chip and seal day, that was the only day they did chip and seal street.
Okay, so it's just gonna, what we should tell people is it's running 8 hours a day, and we're doing the order that the chip and seal routes were put down. Is that correct? You guys have any other questions
Can
about
that
that?
sweeper run constant though? I mean, during lunch?
Well,
Guys gotta eat.
Well, somebody runs you through lunch hour, then
Okay, 8 hours a
just-
day. They can
just
run.
alternate.
Not straight.
Somebody comes off lunch break and take over sweeping, that sweeping operator can take its break.
Save an hour, yeah.
Stagger it.
If the machine can run 8 hours straight, can the machine run 8 hours?
9 hours straight.
Okay, 9 hours straight.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea, stagger the lunch hour.
Staggered lunch.
Well, you have to stagger two of them because you'll need someone to haul them off all the time
Right.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the trucks and stuff.
It's more than just the one guy in the
Yeah,
street.
and the
Yeah,
machine.
They can take lunch breaks at different times.
Yeah, how many people is it to run the sweeper down the chip and seal routes?
One in the truck, one in a dump truck, one in the sweeper, one in the water truck,
That's right.
and
There's been two dump trucks fall with him up
and
there.
there's another dump
So
truck.
4, and how many do we have on the street department? 8?
7.
7?
Yeah.
Okay. So, maybe you can stagger it, see if you can stagger it. 1 hour is worth 1 hour, right? You
Yeah,
make one more resident happy?
you get a lot of work done in 1 hour, can't you?
Yeah. Okay. Anything else about the street sweeper, other than hallelujah, it's working?
It's working. It's working pretty well.
Okay.
Did they
Where-
warranty the card on that, or is there any warranty on that?
I didn't, typically it's a 1-year warranty on work. So if anything fails, I'll have to look at the bill itself to see if they warranty
So if
We
it
hope that-
fails, do we want to fix it again?
We hope to get the street sweeper in 2018. It just has to work till 2018.
Which is why I'm recommending not to overdo it.
Did you do
Overstress
a
it?
Yelp review on Sully's equipment?
Okay, anything else?
Not from me.
Okay. We will go ahead. City Clerk, you have anything?
I do. Actually, since Austin's having a baby, we have a registration open for the league conference, which is this weekend.
So
So I know
Darlene
that
and I
some
are
had
going.
expressed interest.
Does anyone else want to go?
Can't.
Debbie and the girls, we're all traveling together. You could join us.
Oh, they're
The
counting
sales
me out.
pitch, but I'm busy.
So I think they're going to see if David Richardson, fire chief, wants to go. At least for part of the session would be good, if not the whole thing. So, you guys okay with that? All right. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you, Debbie. We'll go on to standing committees. Anybody have anything on street?
Yeah. We still need to get that pole packed on North Street.
Have they?
Oh, I didn't check back with Gary. He was supposed to check on that, but they've been pretty busy.
Okay.
Where is it?
Right across from Andy Cook.
It is.
The east side of the old hole. It's growing.
West of the Oval.
Yeah.
Is it
Oh,
west? I thought it was the east side. Sure it's not
It's
both?
on both sides.
when I initially talked to Gary, he reminded me that base under there is just green sloppy clay. So it's,
East of the.
it might be something to think about down the line to get in there and dig all that stuff out, but that's a
To
cost.
put a whole new street in?
Yeah,
Put a big patch in.
well, no, I mean, for the,
street?
because that whole street has really, a really bad base. The green clay, if it ever gets wet, it just sinks out from underneath it.
Well, if you compare that to a lot of our other streets, it's hard to believe we'd rip that one up. I think we're,
That's why I say down the line,
yeah, down the line.
down the line.
Speaking of down the line, I was going to talk to you guys a little bit about 11th Road. We've talked about 11th Road, Keystone Road, and 12th, I'm sorry, yeah, Road, 11th Road and 12th Road. And I was looking through these KDOT grant agreements, and they have this thing called Surface Transportation Program. And it doesn't come to the city if you're over under $5,000, it goes to the county. And I was wanting to know if I could at least go and open the conversations with the county. That's a shared road. This is a perfect opportunity to see if we can get on their schedule of STP grants. They use the STP monies the last on the Oketo Road. And since all the three of those roads are shared county-city, it's a perfect opportunity to see it, at least open the discussion. I mean, they could slam the door shut, but we should, what? But I think we should at least see if we can get on there. So are you guys okay with me going to the county?
Absolutely.
Talking to them about these funds, see what their plans are the next 5 years, even 5 years? Talk about it? Okay, I just didn't want to go without your authorization, so I'll go and see how the commissioners think about that. Okay.
I like the intersection that the boys just finished up there by the gazebo on Kester Block, the new ADA
I know.
ramp.
The new ADA ramp.
Yeah,
Ninth and Elm there?
Ninth and
It's
Elm.
nice, yeah.
yeah, you said that it was
I
their
like it
first
where it's
attempt or
not
whatever, but they
rounded,
looks like
put
they
around
did
the
a nice
corner, so-
job.
Yeah, as a first attempt, the ADA regulations have kind of switched it up. It used to be where you could do those full open ADA ramps. Now they want more directional because they think if it's full and open, that directs them right out into the middle of the intersection rather than.
Shoots them out there?
So this was, which I was really impressed, that they were concerned at what they could do because they never done it before, but they did a really good
It
job.
looks nice, it really does.
And I know a lot of people are keeping an eye on that corner, so I'm
Yeah.
really glad it looks
Yeah.
nice. The finished product. Good. Yeah, so good job. Anything else on the street?
So just a question, on 20th, when they chip and sealed that was where they had laid that
Micro
sealer
seal.
on. Was that only supposed to last 2 years? I guess I drive it every year, every day, and I didn't think it was that bad, but maybe I'm just not as observant.
I was a little
as-
surprised how quickly we chip sealed it as well. But
Yeah, I was really, and I'm sure it was on the plan, so it might, my
there
fault
were
for not
some.
asking about it, but I was,
But there were cracks in it. I mean,
You know, that's
But you
a
gotta
really
keep the
good
water
point.
out
I
of
didn't
cracks.
notice, I didn't check all the chip and seal routes before they did it, but you're right, that was a micro seal that we
but
did not too many years
but
ago.
lesson learned. I mean, if it didn't hold up and it needed to be done, that's fine, but I'm not sure that, if that was the life expectancy of that, but I'm not sure it was really worth.
I hear you. It had that weaving.
that's
when you
another
did
one of
it.
those streets with the
Yeah.
the ruts, because the base is probably the same
So is
clay.
that why you think we did that?
Well, it's some streets, well, really what chip and seal is to maintain you should be maintaining good streets. You should be at the point of maintaining good streets. Once it gets to the point of holes and all this other stuff, you're kind of too late.
It's pretty much about shedding water,
Yes.
keeping water out of the base.
Yes. So to chip and seal that really made a longevity.
I think micro seal though was supposed to do the same thing, wasn't it?
yeah.
It was cracking up.
It was cracking up
Well, I
on
mean,
the
there
inside?
was those
to level
cracks.
it somewhat as well.
It was weaving again, but.
It's also a high traffic
Yeah.
area,
Heavy
street.
traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah, big traffic.
Mayor, one more thing on, street or house numbers. Todd used to bring this up all the time. Where
never
are we?
miss.
We were going to order numbers. Has that ever been done?
Is that what we decided? Did we decide to order numbers?
discussed
Talked
Tabled it.
about it.
Yeah.
It's on
It's the only tabled
It
item.
used to be on the back of the agendas,
It was the only thing left that had been sitting there forever and ever.
but, yeah.
We cleared everything else.
It's still an issue.
Yep.
I mean, I'm
Yeah,
surprised
well, it's
our
a
county emergency
requirement. It's
management
one of our
isn't more
requirements.
concerned about it, but, I mean, you go to Nebraska where every house has to be labeled and the county,
No.
they're supposed to be.
Okay.
Maybe, okay.
Well, the post office isn't supposed to
Phrasing.
deliver to a house that doesn't have numbers on it, so I'm surprised. I mean, there's your leverage. You don't get your mail if you don't have a house
Well,
number.
but if you talk to the post office, they will kick it to the emergency management. I've had that conversation with the post office, and they say it really comes down to emergency management because they're the one who designate addresses and they designate street names, and the post office actually follows their lead on a lot of
Does the
things,
emergency
surprisingly.
management get grant funding for numbers?
I don't know.
Do you want
Let's
to
talk
ask
to
that
him.
question?
Yeah,
I-
let's talk to him.
It's worth a shot.
It's a
Schwindeman?
safety issue.
Yeah, I mean, there might be funding there that we don't know anything about, so. Okay, Debbie?
Got it.
Anything else? Okay, moving right along, water and wastewater? Parks and Rec?
Oh, Parks and Rec, kind of, again, tying back, but I know we had quite a few campers in the park this weekend,
We
and
did.
they were very happy with the premises. They said that they wanted me to pass along a little bit of compliments to the city staff for doing a good job taking care of it. And I know we have some campers down there I talked to tonight on the way to the meeting, and they said this is one of the friendliest and, best set up parks and communities they've been at, and they've traveled from Seattle. So they're on bicycles, so they've stayed a lot of places. And
Cool.
so I thought their compliments probably go a long way, so good job to our city
Was
crew.
it the, let's see.
They're fundraising.
They were, there was a couple from England and
Finland?
Yeah, they were doing that same sort of trip from West Coast to Washington DC.
Oh, this is a different group. They're going to Boston.
Yeah, or somewhere in there. So they were doing, and they actually said this was the nicest park
Yeah.
they'd stayed in. And they
So
can't, yeah.
is this
It was
tent
a-
camping and they carry the tent all the way across the United States?
With the group I talked to, they have a chase van.
Okay.
That carries
I
some, but
was-
a lot of them do. They're self-contained. And the cyclists who were here for the race this weekend, a lot of people had called me, or because the cycling group had asked if there was a place for them to tent camp, and I said, oh yeah, and it's right off the trail, and they were pretty keyed up on that. I mean, that's not something a lot of towns actually have. If there's anywhere to camp, it's way out on the edge of town or far away from all the other amenities. And I know the Wagon Wheel got tons of business from it, so.
Yeah, you kind of forget what a benefit a city park is.
Yes.
Yeah, and not really much maintenance on a tent camping spot, so.
Yeah, so cool. All good news.
Very good, but
Downtown looked good too.
It did.
The gravel dash, everything
did.
looked great. And you never think about too, this may be street, but the fact that they bring all the barricades down and then they come pick them up and
Yes.
everything that
It
they do.
is a lot of
so
work for the city.
It is.
And they
I-
should be recognized for what they
Yeah.
do.
Agreed.
And it does take them off their normal
It
tours.
does. So it
So,
looked
so
great.
if they had to put up with more dust because our street was putting barricades in. So, anyway, but it's good to acknowledge it. Thank you very much. Okay, cemetery and airport, the airport reconstruction project is starting next week.
On the 18th.
Okay, and, which is next week, and everybody is notified, given that time frame that might possibly ever use it? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I had a lot of questions about the crop dusters. And I just tell them, hey, the city's making money off of it, so that pretty much shuts them up.
Because the crop dusting plane's sitting out there and they ask questions
No,
about it?
because they're flying over.
Oh, they're flying over. Okay.
What do they care about that? Just because of the noise? I'm
Some
delighted they're
people
here.
complain about a lot of things.
No.
Okay, we'll move right along to police and fire. Chief Ackerman just notified me that he was heading out for 8 to 10, or 10 days down to Florida for Hurricane Irma, the training that he's been used, and he's been called out, so, we asked him, and he also wanted to point out that the request was from the federal government, so all monies will be reimbursed for the entire time he's there. And so I'm thankful that he's willing to serve and help those people.
And good
So it's
training.
nice to know that Marysville is going down and being represented there.
And good training should we ever,
Yeah, if we should have it. Hopefully a hurricane won't make
well,
it
but
in Kansas.
we can get a lot of rain or, flooding and, yeah.
They're
So,
reimbursing his salary?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
and travel expenses.
Excellent.
So, the one other thing I wanted to bring up was, I had somebody talk about Prairie Lane and Keating Drive with me. And Prairie Lane is a city-owned street, and so the police chief and I discussed that, that is a street that they can ticket people on, and it is in the city limits. And then Keating Drive is that public use, private owned street, private owned, public use street.
That's right.
And so when I talked to Chief, he said, why don't you just take that over? Because the private use part of it, it's in good shape. The private use part of it is really all they do is snow removal there. And that way we can, at this time, he said that we can't issue speeding tickets there because it's a private drive, private street. And he said only a public street can he issue tickets. So if people come speeding down there, they can't do anything until they hit 11th Road or if they take Prairie Lane. So how do you guys feel about taking that street? And you gave me a weird look, Todd. What do you think?
Well, I'm sorry about that. I guess my thought is they should take it up with their homeowners association, but beyond that, I don't know that I'd want to do that till we can open it on up, till we know what the 11th Terrace plan and that further east situation is. I know that's kind of long game sounding, but
well, I hate the fact that we can't. Do you agree with that comment that the chief said? Do you think that's true? That if it's a private street, even though it says public use, we can't issue from the public use side a citation?
It's a shared use. It's more of a driveway than a street.
But can the association that controls it, owns it, whatever, can they grant us permission in the same way that they can ticket somebody in a Walmart parking lot, even though that's private property?
They can?
Because they can be granted permission by Walmart.
Oh, well, maybe that's true.
I mean, if there's an end run around it where we don't have to take over maintenance and all the responsibilities that come with it right now, I'm okay with that.
Okay, why don't we, can you follow up?
I will say that the complaint I've gotten from that is not that they're going too fast in the Keating Drive. The complaints I'm getting are the two houses that are on Prairie Lane, and they want to know why they can go faster on Prairie Lane so the people go that way because they can go faster. There, we can't.
Right, we can.
It's the opposite of what you're saying.
Well, no.
The people that were complaining to me in the office were that they go faster on Prairie Lane because they can. And they have the speed bumps and all the people on Keating Drive. So that's why, and they wanted to know why they couldn't lower the speed, because the speed must be slower on Keating Drive. There must be stop speed signs there. There must be slower there. Because
15 miles an hour.
Prairie Lane is faster because it's the same as any residential street.
Well, I think.
Those are the complaints that we've been receiving in the office.
Well, somebody brought up to me that they were told by someone that we couldn't issue tickets on Prairie Lane. We can issue tickets on Prairie Lane. Chief said we can issue tickets on Prairie Lane. So that's the first part that can, and it needs to be done if they're speeding on Prairie Lane. The second part of it is that I think Keating Drive, I think we need to be able to control that speed as well. And if it's just a matter of asking the association if we can have the authority to do that, that seems like a no-brainer to solve both their problems. So the key thing is for people to know that they will be ticketed on Prairie Lane, and hopefully in the near future, they will be ticketed on Keating Drive as well.
But I was out and visited with them people 2 weeks ago, and they said them people go through Keating Drive fast. That one lady said she's out there in her walker, and that guy went behind her, just zipped right behind her. She got part way across, and she said that guy and the guy that built that place over there, Bulldog Apartments, he was talking to us. I thought he was going to put speed bumps between the two places.
Well, and that's the other thing, we talked about, speaking of speed bumps, did we get the speed bump signs in?
No, they're not in yet, no.
Okay, but, it is possibly we could put a speed bump between the two developments, but again, if we don't own the street, We'd have to have permission to put, and do we want to put a speed bump on a street that we don't own?
No.
Okay, in case it damaged it? Is that what you're saying, no right away?
Well, something has to be done, but I don't think we want to do anything on a street that we don't own. I mean, if they'll give us
That should be
permission
a
to give
homeowner.
tickets and monitor it, yeah. But as far as anything else, if we don't own it, we shouldn't even maintain nothing.
I'm surprised they're not here discussing it with us, to be honest with you.
I've been out there a couple times and I've talked to them and they say them guys, and they think everybody that lives in that the Bulldog apartment has to have a four-wheel drive truck too, because there's noisy and they go through there like crazy.
Well, several people have told me that they are concerned and they want tickets issued, so I think this is a good alternative. Who brought it up, Walmart? You brought it up?
Yeah,
I think this is
know
a good solution.
I'm not sure what the procedures are as far as the granting of permission and things, but I know they can, so.
So you'll talk to Craig and then
As I say, the city attorney or Chief Ackerman should know more about it than I do, so.
Well, Chief didn't bring that up when I talked to him, but that's a good idea. So maybe that will
I'd like to
solve both
find
their
middle ground.
problems. Anything else on police and fire?
Oh, I'd like to say something about a police officer, and that would be Tim Anderson. He was down in the park, Gravel Dash Day, to help with the youngsters. They had some sort of a race or a little program for youngsters. But he happened to be down there when the people at the farmer's market who had been displaced and were now using the parking lot across from the swimming pool, well, they didn't have access to facilities without walking the 2 blocks across the park to the restrooms. So Tim made several calls and he got the restrooms opened at the pool, which was right across the street, for the vendors to use. And I just want to say thank you. And like I said, he was on bicycle, and I don't know if every officer takes their turn riding bicycle or not, or pulling on doors downtown, but I know that officer does, and I just want to say thank you.
Is that an official police department bicycle?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a PD bike.
We have, do we just have one?
Yes.
Yes, I think so.
Oh, well, that's cool.
But it's
we
brand
used
new.
to. The Sons of the Legion donated
Yes, they
that
did.
a lot of years ago.
Yes,
Yeah.
they did, the 70s.
Here's an old
And then
truck.
it got disappeared for a while and they found it
Found
someplace.
himself again.
Yeah.
Cool. Does it have a red light?
No, I don't think so.
Full.
I just want to know,
I don't
yeah.
think so.
Does it have a motorized speed electric? Anything else?
E-bike.
Okay, admin and finance?
Well, I noticed that we've ordered service awards for 4 of our employees, and I wondered if we could invite them to come to council and present them at the start of the meeting.
There's 4 for 10-year awards. So would you like them to come to council?
Yes,
So we
that'd be
can
nice.
I think
officially,
it ought to be up to them if they want to come.
It's 7 o'clock at night, and they're getting done from a long, hard day of work. It's a
you don't think that would be
It's a privilege, it's an honor, it's a
Well,
they-
it
presentation.
might be if they think it's an honor. If they want to come, I think they should be able to. But
Okay.
if they don't want to come, then you're putting outside pressure on them.
Okay,
We're
that's fair
spending,
enough.
what, $400
Ask
for
whoever-
awards? I think we ought to get to see who gets them. I don't even know who these 4 people are that are getting the awards.
Usually we do that at the
It
holiday.
still ought to be up to the person getting it.
That's when we
not-
do those.
Last time that was done at the holiday party?
Well, last time we had a special party, and then this year we can, last year we had a breakfast, and you gave them out, and then this year we can have it at the holiday party, and that way you can have a meet and greet. And
You're gonna clear this holiday party with us at the
Yeah.
very beginning of this?
we're
Okay.
we're supposed to be
Plan way in advance?
We're making sure
Clear the date?
Yeah, we're making sure the venue that we're getting is available and what dates are available, and then we'll ask you what dates you guys are available.
Thank you, before you commit. Thank you so much. So are you guys okay with, we give out the awards that night? Are we okay? Okay, at night, got it. All right, anything else? Under appointments, I just wanted to reappoint 2 people to the Kester House Advisory Board. One is Ralph Ballon, for his term will end March of 2019, and Karen Hughes. They both currently serve, and her term would end March of 2019 as well. And with that, there'll be 1 opening, and then if we get the resolution made, was it a resolution? Ordinance made for the Kester House, I will appoint the last one.
Move to approve the mayor's appointments.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay, no. All right. City attorney is not here. I am not aware of any reason for an executive session. Is anyone else? All right. On roundtable, I just want to say our parade is Friday at 2:15, so try to be there. I was going to say about 2 o'clock. And I have the signs made to attach the mowers. And I have to say that Wilbur Horman has been so helpful, right, Darlene, on teaching us how to run these mowers.
He was very nice of him to be over there at lunch.
It was his lunch hour, and he voluntarily helped us learn how to do this.
Helped us learn.
And the men have also offered to clean them all up for the parade, so that's very thoughtful of them. They said they'll have them all shiny for, to show off on the parade route.
Shiny
so.
might be a stretch. They'll be clean.
They'll be clean. So I made 7 signs, and I think that'll cover everybody. So I'm looking forward to it. That's Friday afternoon.
Where are we queuing up, Mayor?
At
Where are we
5th
supposed to meet?
Street is where it starts, so we'll be probably on the south side of 5th Street. Look for where the mowers are. Okay? And if you want to come a little bit early and practice, you can do that too. Okay, that being said, Keith.
Well, you were talking about awards. I think we ought to add like Employee of the Year award or something at that time frame too.
Well, that's not a bad idea. Employee, by just one employee of the
Because
year.
I think last year we talked about Employee of the Month.
We did talk about that. That's a way to encourage people and give them something kind of nice.
Yeah.
So maybe some chamber bucks or something that they could use.
How would they be chosen?
Department heads turn it in.
They could nominate, department heads could nominate people and.
Our department heads.
Based
That's a
on
good
their
idea.
performance.
You could you could have them each nominate somebody and then statewide.
So are department heads eligible?
Yeah, he could overrule their choice. He's got,
I mean, they could nominate across departments if you wanted to do it
they
that
could
way.
nominate themselves. I think I deserve the
I
same.
would, yeah, I've been thinking about the process of that.
Okay.
And it was a thought last year, but just never had time to come to fruition.
Yeah. Hey, how are the reviews going?
We're not doing the review, we have to set up the base for
The
the
base,
review.
how are the base reviews
Good,
going?
good.
Yeah, you're keeping
Yeah.
up with them?
Oh, yeah.
So you'll be ready to actually have those goals and everything
next
for
year,
2018?
yes.
Perfect. Okay,
That's all.
that's it? Bill?
Nothing.
Darlene?
Nothing.
Brad? Todd?
Nothing.
You're not going to say anything about the gravel
Well, I
dash?
kind of already did like 3 different places, but no, it was a good weekend. A lot of good turnout, record numbers every time. I remember the final.
145.
Was it?
145 checked in.
145 checked in, 180 some signed up.
184, yeah, so it's
So
no shows.
there were some chickens around.
And how many finished?
Probably 125.
125 maybe.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, really not too bad. It was a very difficult course. A lot
Did
of
you
people had
finish?
a lot of troubles. It was a very difficult course.
Did you do the
weather
one?
was
No,
nice.
I will live in shame. That's 2 of 15 I didn't complete this year, and this one is 1.
So did you do the 75 or the 125?
Oh, I know. I was 105 into the 125, and I was 6 flats and a lot of passing out kind of feelings. Later, I stopped in Blue Rapids on the way back, so
Wow. Well,
not going to hurt myself over it.
I will say 105 is pretty impressive, so.
And it was on the fat bike, so that's that's
So
the kind of bike, not the
congratulations.
rider.
100 No, but I don't think anybody here is going to beat 105, so I think you get the
But
prize.
no, it was really good. A lot of out-of-towners, a lot of, really good local support for it, but it was just very impressed. A lot of word spreading, people from Florida and Texas escaping hurricanes maybe, but they were
Irma,
here
yeah.
to ride. So.
And Harvey, yeah.
So yeah, no, it was a really good weekend for Marysville.
Good. Well,
Yep.
thanks. Vicki?
It was a great weekend in Marysville. It was a fabulous time for the 3rd Ward, since that's where the gravel dash was. The farmer's market got moved down to the park. People, they go until October. I hope everybody will patronize the farmer's market as long as it's open. Also, there was a volunteer fair at the American Legion. So anybody who has extra time, it was sponsored by RSVP, but you don't have to be 55 or 60 to be a volunteer. They would take volunteers. You'd be so surprised. The hospital needs them. The Red Cross needs them. There are a lot of people that need volunteers. So if you have some spare time, You don't have to sign up for like Meals on Wheels, which means you have to deliver food. They depend on you every week. There's a lot of little volunteer jobs that's just for an hour or for 4 hours or just one time, but it puts you out there in the community. People need your help. And some organizations don't have the money to hire more people. So stop by the RSVP office on Main Street, no matter what your age, and just ask if there's a volunteer assignment that you could sign up for. The fair was well attended. We had a lot of people saying we need volunteers. The Pony Express Museum, I mean, the Chamber of Commerce, I mean, there's a lot of people that need your help. So I'm hoping that people will sign up, show up, and volunteer in this community. It's fun, it makes you feel good, and people need you. I guess that's all I have to say.
And the Marysville High School football game on Friday night.
Oh my gosh.
Was well attended. They played really well, so I hope they do as well at the homecoming game.
Go Bulldogs.
Remember, there's a tailgate at City Park.
Oh, that's right.
So we have a parade, we have a tailgate, they have a homecoming, and then they have the game, so.
Yep. Go to the homecoming.
Okay, Denny,
I have nothing.
Kevin? All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Richard Jern?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0.